So I owe everybody an apology for this stock pick, VOXX. I teach people good charts from bad charts, good catalysts from bad catalysts, and I simply fell in love with this stock's technology, its potential upside, its valuation, and I pretty much ignored all of my trading rules. And worst of all, it happened all during my seventh annual Vegas conference. So, it just got so messy with the actual trade because I was doing it live in front of 500 people. I bought it Friday afternoon because right here I thought that it was had a good chance at bouncing. It had solid support going back to right here, 939. And so I bought it when it was breaking this level, and I thought that it had a pretty good shot of going back to the high nines. And it did for a little bit, as people shared my research report in a few different chat rooms and other websites I saw picked it up. But I really need to be more disciplined. I specifically said in the alert, I'm not going to hold it through earnings on Thursday. But here we are, I'm filming this at around midnight Thursday morning. And I'm getting emails from people like, are you holding? Are you buying more now that it's down? And I'm like, no, like, I don't like holding through earnings. I specifically said this, 5 days ago when I was, or 6 days ago when I was buying the stock. I'm not going to hold it big through earnings. And now, especially when the stock has broken below support here at 9. I mean, this is a broken chart. And I had a small long-term position of 2,000 shares still, and I just cut losses. I'm down to 500 shares long from a high of, I was long over 20,000 shares before, short-term and long-term combined. And, I really need to know better. And this is my bad. A lot of people expressed anger and frustration with me on this pick. And for the first, few days, I was like, why? Like, this is a good, solid, speculative play. Obviously, it's not a perfect chart pattern. It doesn't have like an earnings win or a contract win like I like, but they should be announcing this potential GoPro killer. And over the weekend, I also discovered that they have this potential Apple Pay kind of technology for iris scanning for security. But again, I even as I'm saying this out loud, I hear myself and I'm like, oh my God, I sound like a typical penny stock bag holder. Like they might have a GoPro killer. They might have this Apple Pay. And in my rushing on Friday, to research this and be the first one to really put everything together and kind of tell everybody and be like triumphant during my conference, I just ignored the key tenets of my trading where, I'm buying a terrible chart. When's the last time you ever heard me say, I'm buying a company based on it trading half book value? I'm not a value investor. And, I seem to have like convinced myself, like when they announce their GoPro thing, it's going to spike a lot. If anybody writes an article and recognizes it, in the mainstream press as an Apple Pay play, then it could potentially spike past, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 even. If it gets a big volume surge like OTIV, NETE, and NXTD did. And over the past few days, I mean, the overall market has just gotten crushed, aside from the rebound due to the Fed statement. But before that, I mean, everything is down this week. And no matter that it's trading at half book value, I mean, it could go down to trading at a third of book value. And I didn't understand the risks when I laid this all out. And for that, I have to apologize. You shouldn't research in a rush. And frankly, that's what I was doing because I was still, as I was researching this, in the initial alert, I said I'm writing a research report. In that time frame when I posted that alert, it was like just after 2 p.m. on Friday. I was still trying to finish my PowerPoint for my conference, and it had to be in due that night. So all I can claim is temporary insanity. I was rushing to do that. I put all these indicators together in my head, and I kind of made myself believe that this was a good pick. And then on Monday, live during the conference, when it was started to fade against me, and I had to actually get through the PowerPoint. I was up on stage. Those of you who attended the conference saw, and I was like, I want to watch this stock, but I have to do this PowerPoint. And I put myself in a really crappy position because, I had just written an article. I was all positive about it. Obviously, it had already hit my target, so it's not like I was like, oh, the stock is going to double. I'm not, a penny stock promoter. I just thought that it would bounce a little bit, and it got the bounce. But then I was in this position where I had to do the PowerPoint because when at my conference, like, yeah, you want to see me live trade, but there's also a lot of information that I want to convey. And the same thing with NXTD. I was rushing the trades, even though I profited a little bit on those. I got squeezed at first and then profited afterwards. But it's so difficult to do live trading and think rationally while you also have to give a presentation and monitor the time, because obviously we had other guest speakers. So yeah, in hindsight, I wish I had never picked this. I wish I had never bought it. I wish I had never written the research report. I wish I had never gotten so excited. But obviously, hindsight is 2020. All I can do at this point is, get you this video out before the earnings report. God forbid some of you guys are like being like, oh yeah, Tim says that they're going to announce this. Let's hold through earnings. When in reality, I specifically said, do not hold through earnings. It is a guessing game. And now this stock with a broken chart, and there's actually a Seeking Alpha expose that I've been hearing about where, it says like management has been screwing around. So it has a potential negative catalyst. When you have a company with a broken chart, with rumors of management having issues, this company having multiple downtrends in their earnings estimates and revenue estimates, and perhaps worst of all, for the reason why I bought this stock is because I was buying it in anticipation of their subsidiary or investment in 360 Fly debuting in the last week of October, but they've already pushed that back from September, which was already pushed back from June. So you can't have any faith, let alone probability, that they're going to confirm the last week in October as a launch date. And then also, they were supposed to launch Myris, their iris security technology, in September, and that obviously hasn't been launched yet either. So I don't know what these guys are doing. I don't know what compelled me to say, I'm going to give these guys the benefit of the doubt. They haven't earned it. And I really am sorry for bringing this to everybody's attention because I totally screwed up. I ignored my chart patterns. I ignored my trading rules. And the only thing I did right was, get out when the stock started to go against me. I probably should have sold my longer term position earlier, but again, I was trying to be long term. I wasn't trying to get in and out of this. I actually was excited. But now, looking back and thinking rationally about all of this, it's just a bad pick. And, I pride myself on working my ass off and giving good information and giving good picks. I'm not going to be right every time, but I really like, when the indicators are on my side and I can at least make a really, valid argument. And with this one, I don't know. Maybe I just convinced myself that the negative indicators that I now see didn't exist because I was just so excited to be kind of like the first one to put all of this together with, their GoPro and Apple Pay, and this was going to be the next big spiker, and I was going to discover it, and I wanted to be a cheerleader, and now I'm thinking like, when do I ever say you ever want to discover a stock? Never. I want to piggyback a breakout that's already happening. I want to piggyback an earnings win where other traders spot it first. That's been the majority of my gains. So it's totally my bad. They might surprise. I'm not saying like, oh my God, you have to sell now. Like, this is terrible. I don't know what the stock is going to do. Okay. To tell you the truth, I don't know what they're going to say during their earnings conference call. I don't know if they're going to hold the release date at the last week of October and then it might spike. And then people will be like, yeah, Tim, thanks for telling me about this. And it goes to the 10s or the 11s. Or they might push it back, screw up earnings even more, and it goes to the 7s. And they'll be like, damn you, Tim, why did you do this? I just want to get you this video to help you understand that, you know, I don't know what's going to happen. And when I don't know what's going to happen, I don't have a position. I still have 500 shares just because, you know, I have a long-term position, so I have kind of a plan. It's a very small position, very small position. But aside from that, I cannot say to have a position before earnings because the indicators, I think, slightly are in the favor of the short sellers right now. Now that I'm looking at this rationally and I'm not rushed by any conference presentation, and most importantly, you know, this chart breakdown. Um, you know, I'm like losing my screen here. This chart breakdown, this is terrible. When you have a stock that comes down and it bounces and then it's a failed bounce and then it's a breakdown, this is an absolute bearish chart. And I don't care if it's what is trading at book value, you know, stocks can always get cheaper. And I'm not used to holding stocks that get cheaper. I'm used to buying breakouts or shorting pump and dumps. And this is neither the case. I went in for the bounce, got a little bit of a bounce, but you know, when it breaks, when it fails to bounce properly, and now, you know, I haven't read what the Seeking Alpha expose said. I just saw it got tweeted, and I think that's probably the cause of this this drop. But from the bottom of my heart, I'm just sorry. You know, I know that we all make mistakes, and you know, it's not the end of the world. I mean, it's not like I'm like buying like a 5-cent stock and saying it's going to go to $1. I mean, this is a real company. They do have 800 million in revenues. A case can be made that it is a value play, but that's not what I'm good at. And you know, I wish someone had the guts at my Vegas conference to smack me and be like, "What are you doing? You know, why are you trading VOXX?" And you know, maybe that would have like woken me up out of my daze. But I didn't realize it at the time. You know, I really did not. And only now, when the chart is broken and I start seeing what people are emailing me, like, yeah, Tim, you think now it's even cheaper, so now let me get more excited. When a stock gets cheaper, you don't get more excited. This isn't like a sale at Bloomingdale's where you get the exact same, you know, shirt for 30% off. When a stock gets cheaper and a chart pattern gets broken, those are not buy indicators for me. Okay, it could still spike. I'm not saying that it's definitely over, but the odds, guys, and you know, this is what Tim Grittani, my second millionaire student, Michael Good, my first millionaire student, who both presented at my Vegas conference, you know, their whole points, or one of their main points together, was that the reason for their success is because they found patterns that they were good at, and they refined their process, you know, basically shorting pump and dumps and, you know, other patterns that they went over. But it was a few key patterns that made them rich. And when I analyze my own trading, you know, it's a few key patterns. For example, buying earnings breakouts and shorting pump and dumps. If you want to simplify everything to the bare basics. This is not an earnings winner. This is not a pump and dump. This falls into the realm of speculative trades where maybe they have a good technology, maybe they're undervalued, maybe they're going to bounce. But now with earnings, you know, in, I don't know, like 16 hours from now, I want to get this video out to help you understand that I have a measly position and I don't know what this stock is going to do, and I would not enter a new position right now. You know, I might even sell the 500 shares that I have before earnings just to make that case clear. But for you guys watching this video, I would not take any position, long or short, right now ahead of earnings, because I don't know what's going to happen. And when you don't know what's going to happen, you don't risk your hard-earned money. So again, I'm sorry for this whole setup. Hopefully you can understand my predicament, but it's It's my bad. I'll do better in the future, I promise.